Welcome to Close Listening. I'm Zach Morgenstern, joined as always by silent co-host Ludwig von B. Today we are talking about Bruce Springsteen's debut album, Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey, with this excellent album cover designed to look like a postcard. Someone mentioned this album to me once years ago, and I kept forgetting to listen to it, and I'm so glad I did because it's amazing. And the funny thing is, I don't think any of the songs are on the Bruce Springsteen Greatest Hits album we had in my house growing up. And so one might think this is his sort of awkward, messy beginning, but no, it's not. It sounds very polished. You know, some of the members of the E Street Band, including Clarence Clemens, are right there right away. So it has a very big, complete sounding sound. And the lyrics on this one are also amazing. So the most famous song on here is the title song, Blinded by the Light, though I only learned relatively recently that this was a Bruce Springsteen song because the more famous version was done by the Manfred Mann Earth Band. But just imagine if you know this song already, this being the song that introduces you to the world. It's just totally epic. What stands out about this one is the pace of the lyrics. As I listened to this album, I gradually came to pick up on, oh, this is kind of Bob Dylan-like in how long and detailed each of these verses are, how there's both the real poetry and there's probably just some silliness in him trying to come up with these millions of characters, each having very specific descriptions. Yet there's a huge difference between Bruce Springsteen's sound and Bob Dylan's sound, even if their lyrics kind of look the same on paper. You know, you hear the expression blinded by the light, and you think you're getting some sort of cynical warning about how fame is going to destroy you. One expects this to be a similarly tragic song to Like a Rolling Stone, but in fact, it's not. If you actually look at the lyrics, what he's saying is maybe you could be blinded by the light. You know, maybe there are things you become naive to in the excitement of the moment, but it's mostly just about the joy of basking in that light. And again, this is a song that's just chocked to the brim with dramatic characters. And I mean, many of them I think are supposed to be autobiographical figures. The one everyone talks about is the reference to the drummer at the beginning is to the E Street Band's own Vinny Lopez. But one doesn't necessarily have to go into the depths of Springsteen's biography to worry about who all these people are. The way I interpret it is it's just finding joy in people who come from all kinds of walks of life, from the all hot hop shop to the go-kart Mozart to the hazard from Harvard and so on. Track number 2 is called Growing Up. And the optimistic feeling of track 1 continues onto this one. And that optimism comes out both musically in the booming drums and the twinkly piano, but also in the lyrics. It's a song basically that says growing up is not about losing the imagination of your childhood, but just having new opportunities to exercise it. Track number 3 is called Mary Queen of Arkansas. So once again, we spot the Bob Dylan influence in that Springsteen is invoking a non-coastal, rural associated state, which is kind of funny since one would think this is a concept album about New Jersey. What might justify it being here is that Asbury Park is known as a progressive hipster space with like a drag queen culture, and it's pretty clear that Mary Queen of Arkansas is a drag queen, if not a trans person. This song is a more minimalist musical sound compared to the other two, with just guitar, harmonica, and Springsteen's voice. But the delivery of it is so intense, you wouldn't notice that it's a song on the minimal side. It's a very heartfelt performance. And though it's not necessarily catchy, and Springsteen really takes time delivering it in a way that can maybe be a bit off-putting at times, it's just such an interesting performance that even if you don't love it, you can't not respect it. Track number 4 is called Does This Bus Stop at 82nd Street? This one kind of feels like a similar concept to Blinded by the Light, in that, it's an upbeat rocker of a song that's name dropping all these characters. And again, feels very Dylanesque in its lyrical style and just jumping from reference to reference. But one thing that Springsteen does that Bob Dylan generally wouldn't be willing to do is that the song suddenly changes its tempo and at its end and goes for a different musical style. As basically we're introduced to all these characters one might see on a city bus, but at the end, the narrator decides to follow one character off the bus into their own private story, and thus the song ends with its cool, distinct feel. Track number 5 is called Lost in the Flood. So far, we've seen optimistic songs describing the quirks of various characters from various walks of life. But this song shows you can do that in a darker way. If you're appreciating all the characters, interesting, seedy, and otherwise, who come up in American life or frankly life in many places, you have to acknowledge those who end up in gang wars or otherwise fall, on the wrong side of the tracks. And that's not always a rebellious thing to celebrate. That feel continues into track six, The Angel, which continues to have a dreary scene and it romantically describes someone's vehicular suicide. I wish I knew more about the specific context of this song. It's obviously an early example of Springsteen romanticizing life on the road, and I guess perhaps it's a way of connecting ordinary working class people with grander things. Track number seven for you is a kind of Jackson Brownish sounding song that's centered around a suicidal love interest. The chorus goes, I came for you, for you. I came for you, but you did not need my urgency. I came for you, for you. I came for you, but your life was one long emergency. Basically, what it's saying is that different people operate on such different timelines. You could feel like you're completely devoted, you're making this dynamic effort to save a person, you're really giving your all. But no matter how earnestly you may try, no matter whether you're doing your best and doing the right thing, that still might not be enough. And that's a very hard pill to swallow. Track number eight is called Spirits in the Night. This is a relatively upbeat song that doesn't really sound like the rest of the material on here. Apparently, at very least, Blinded by the Light and Spirits in the Night were recorded after most of the stuff on here, and I think even written kind of as last minute things. And it's amazing to think that Blinded by the Light was written as a last minute project because it's such a perfect song. But yes, Spirits in the Night is a more classic hit. It's comparatively simple compared to the other songs on here. Like tracks five and six, it feels like it's engaging more with the sort of seedier side of youth culture. It sounds like it's about to describe a tragedy, but it doesn't. This one is just reveling in the joy of young people being a bit rebellious, maybe getting on the verge of getting in trouble, but they don't, and they just get to appreciate the fact that when you do adventurous things at night, it makes it feel like your life is more dramatic than it really is. Track number nine is called It's Hard to Be a Saint in the City. Now, there are two possible interpretations of this one. One is that it's about a person who truly becomes corrupted, enters into a life of crime, as verse two suggests. But by this point in the record, we've seen so many bravado lyrics from Springsteen. I'm not necessarily inclined to take those parts literally, especially because they're vague. The actual lines that stand out to me is this repeated reference to being surrounded by beggars. I guess people asking for money and feeling like you can't give them money all the time. And I guess it's to say living in the city exposes us to a lot of the pain of the world. And if saints are these perfect people who always do the purest right thing, we're always selfless. Cities remind us, that we're all short of being saints. Now, granted, I don't think it's the responsibility of individual people to save the world. I think we can look to governments and the powerful, tax the rich. But regardless, it's still a compelling emotional image. So who knows how much of a concept album this truly is, or whether, Bruce Springsteen just wanted to pay tribute to his town with the title. But you certainly get, from the little bit I know about it, a broad feel of a place like Asbury Park. What's on the one hand not a big city that is part of what's thought of an industrial state in New Jersey, but it also has this hippie culture to it, progressive attitudes. And this is an album that talks about dark things, it brings in death, but overall it brings in a big sound full of joy. And the similarity between Springsteen and Bob Dylan at the beginning of Springsteen's career is also kind of interesting. It's amazing when Bob Dylan writes his lyrics, and it's kind of cool to see someone who is a bit different as a musician achieve things that are equally incredible in the lyrical realm. So let me know what you think of Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey in the comments below, and I will see you with more music reviews going forward. I'm Zach Morgenstern. This is Ludwig von B. See you next time.